Hello everyone and welcome to my React video. Today's topic is add CSS styling to component. Remember the three rules for adding style to the HTML: inline style, internal and external style sheet. This is exactly what we can accomplish with React but in JavaScript manner. I will show you different methods we use in React to apply styles to the component. Let's go through them one by one. If you're new to my channel, please do subscribe, press the bell icon and learn React with me. React is not new concept, just the standard rules, but we still need to understand the idea of JSX styling and how it works in the component. Let's start with React inline style. In this method, we may add CSS styles directly in JavaScript with the style attribute and use double curly braces for inline styles. Let's add style attribute to h1 tag style equal to double curly braces. We use double curly braces because JavaScript object and expressions both use curly braces. Let's add CSS properties: background color in a string teal blue, and here it applied background to our h1 tag, and we add comma if there are any additional CSS properties. Let's add color in a string. Let's add white color, and here it applied both properties to our h1 tag. Here we use camel case for multi-word property rather than background color that we use usually in CSS. We use camel case, or we will use margin and capital T margin top. Prefix properties follow the same rules, but other than the MS vendor prefix, they must also begin with a capital letter. So here W begins with capital letter, but MS in is small. We don't need it now, so let's delete it. The second method is a style object variable. It is similar to internal styles, but in following method, we assign the variable and create an object as variable's value. Let us define the variable name as constant header style equal curly braces and paste value within curly braces. Now in single curly braces, add JavaScript object to the style attribute as JavaScript expression into the JSX. If I save it, the result is going to be same. Plus, if you want to add a unit like rem, pt or percentage, you must include it as a string, because if you pass number here, it append pixel automatically. So here after comma, let's add padding in quotes 1 rem. Basically, key is camel case version and value is usually string. The third method on our list is the most well-liked CSS style sheet. There are two ways to style an element: by adding a class attribute or by using the style attribute. Classes should always be preferred to writing style. Only properties can be written directly if class can't handle it. You can create a style sheet for each component, or you can put all your CSS code in single file and name it, for example, styles.css. It is entirely up to you which method you prefer. Let us start with styles.css. Create file in src folder styles.css. Then write all of the code in this file. So I paste some simple CSS code in this file. Just the body tag and container. Let's see how we can use these code to our application. Because we use a single file for whole application, simply import it at the top of the app component. So here import in single quotes, add styles.css. Note here, if we use my component or any component in the file, we don't need to use .js extension, but if we are using a CSS file or SVG, we need to add the extension also. Now if we save it, the code of the body tag has been applied. Now we will see how we can apply the CSS class. In my component, scroll down, and here let's apply div now. In the div tag, add class attribute, class name, camel case. Remember, it is JSX, not simple HTML, where we pass DOM element equal, in quotes, add container. And here it add steel blue background. Let's use the second strategy example of component base. Create the style component.css file in component folder. So styles component.css, and write the code for the only style you need to use in this single component. So here in style.css, let's copy container here, cut it, and paste in styles component. And import this file at the top of my component. Now scroll up and add this file, import. In single quotes, let's add file name, style component.css. And it worked here. Whether the code is contained in a component or a separate style sheet, we must import it into our file in order to apply it to an element. Now the last method I'm going to cover in this video is React CSS class. If you have some dynamic styling, you can use this way. On the basis of component states or properties, we can also apply class conditionally. Let's use the props example. Let's add the button here. So button, add list. In CSS styles component, let's add some style to our button. Now also add some property active, background color, steel blue, and another property default in the background. Let's add some light gray color. Now in app component, pass down the prop active and set its default value to false on the my component in JSX. Active equal to, in curly braces, set false. Save it. Now you can use the props in component as a parameter. Define the variable class name in the function body, content, class name, and use the conditional operator to set the condition whether it is true or false. So props dot active, that we pass on the my component in app, conditional operator. So if it is true, set the value active, and if it is false, set the value default. The variable will then be used as the JavaScript expression for our class name attribute. On the button element, add class name attribute, and in the curly braces add the JavaScript expression. That is also we define class name. The button should now appear in default when you look at the browser screen. Now go back to your app component and pass the property active as true to make the button active and visible in steel blue. To put it simply, we determine from the value of props whether it is true or false. Give that value the class name attribute. If we need to define many classes, we can use template literals, and then in my component we can add our second class. Now let's give our button a shape. So in style, add a class shape, include the border radius 10 pixel. And in my component, change the value of the class name attribute to a template literal using backtick. And close the backtick. And put curly braces around the class name because it is variable. So add $sign and curly braces around it, space, add class name shape. Now if you look at the screen, the outcome will alter. Button is now somewhat rounded. Our both classes have been applied, and this is how classes are used when using standard style sheets. React may be styled in a variety of ways. Don't confuse about which way is best because we use these strategies occasionally and only when it makes sense. That's it for today's guys. Let's end this video here. Please thumbs up, comment and share and save this React tutorial playlist because we are going to learn anything and everything.